Good afternoon, Southeast Texas. Thanks for tuning in to 12 News at Noon. I'm Christiana Ramos. Taking a look outside this afternoon, it's pretty hot out there, muggy. A few showers are in the forecast, so we're going to throw it off to Jeff, who's going to give us a look at what our afternoon is going to be looking like.
Yeah, we're already starting to see a few showers pop up on radar. We'll go with about a 40% coverage through the afternoon, so a little bit higher than normal rain chance as we head into the middle to especially late part of the afternoon. Right now, most of the rain is confined to Jefferson County. Don't see too much in the way of rain outside of the county here. And you can see some pretty heavy downpours south of China there, right along 90, probably just to the west of China. If you're going down Interstate 10, you're going to run into a heavy downpour there, almost right in between Beaumont and Winnie. Also some pretty heavy downpours down around Taylor Landing. If you're trying to travel across 73 from Winnie over to Port Arthur, you're going to run into some heavy rain. Speaking of Port Arthur, they're getting a heavy shower right now. And then down towards the Bean Pass, there's another heavy downpour there. So most of this activity is just starting to develop over the last couple of hours or so. You can see it was out in the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's starting to work its way northward just a little bit. So we'll see some of these showers, maybe a few isolated thunderstorms trying to work their way northward as we go through the afternoon. If you're not getting the rain, it's going to be hot. Temperatures going to be in the middle 90s for today. Allergy index, medium on weed. Grass and mold are on the low side, and we don't have to talk about any of the tree pollen. It looks like after today, rain chances really start to come down. Expecting a dry holiday weekend. We'll show you all that in our 7-day forecast in just a little bit.
A bright light and dark times was a welcome relief for areas of New Orleans Tuesday. Some power began flowing into New Orleans east after Ida knocked out electricity for the entire city. Crews were able to turn electricity on for some customers in eastern New Orleans with generation supplied by the New Orleans Power Station. Officials said this is the first step in bringing power back to the metro region. But millions of people across Louisiana and Mississippi are still dealing with no power in the blistering heat as rescues are still ongoing days after the storm hit. Ida continues its pushing trek across the U.S., bringing torrential rain and wind as far as the northeast today. Sam Brock is on the ground in hard-hit LaPlace, Louisiana.
I'm reporting from LaPlace, Louisiana, which is about 30 or 40 minutes outside of New Orleans. It's certainly one of those areas that was the hardest hit by Hurricane Ida. The aftermath still playing out this morning in real time. As you look over my shoulder, not only do you see down power lines, which are everywhere, but all of these cars. Folks were out here before sunrise today to try to get fuel because there is a shortage and they are desperate just to get it for their cars, but also for their generators. And that's extremely dangerous right now. We are learning from the city of New Orleans they're treating 12 people for carbon monoxide poisoning after a generator was kept inside of a home. There are warnings going out from the city to be extremely cautious if you're going to do that. And it's also just a sign of desperation. No electricity, no air conditioning. Water has been an issue, although I'm hearing from folks in this community right now that the water lines are finally coming back online. And heat-related illness right now is at the top of the list of concerns for city leaders because it is in the 90s, approaching 100 degrees. So many folks without air conditioning, something the city is watching very carefully as they continue to try to turn on power as quickly as possible. It could be within 7 days that the majority of New Orleans gets its power back. Entergy, the primary provider overnight, tweeting out that the first light shined in New Orleans East this morning. Here in Louisiana, Sam Brock, NBC News.
And whenever there is a desperate need for help, misinformation can cause false hope. That's why FEMA has created a rumor control page for Hurricane Ida victims. For example, the agency says there's a false rumor going around that FEMA is paying for hotels in Louisiana. Check out FEMA's Twitter page for more false rumors and how to apply for assistance. Right now, shelters for Ida evacuees in Orange are up and running, but with COVID still spreading in our area, preventing potential outbreaks in shelters is a concern. The Expo Center is not at full capacity right now and is only operating at 20%. Joel Ardoin, the emergency management coordinator for Orange County, says although regular testing will not be required, they will recommend masks for volunteers and evacuees and make sure cots are distanced.
We set up or potentially set up 4 shelters, so we would not overcrowd them. If we need to spread out to these other 2 shelters that are on standby, we can do so. But currently, that's not been an issue.
And if there's a need for an evacuee to get tested, the shelters will help that individual get proper testing. If someone tests positive, that person will be separated. Ardoin also says they are following the rules set by the Red Cross's management. Breaking this afternoon, the second victim who was shot in the head alongside a New Orleans police officer has died in a Houston hospital, according to prosecutors. Duran DJ Rekulfi was on the patio of the Grotto restaurant near the Galleria when he and New Orleans police detective Everett Briscoe were shot on a Saturday afternoon last month. Last week, Houston police arrested the two suspects, Frederick Jackson and Anthony Jenkins, and they were charged with capital murder and attempted capital murder. The second charge will likely be upgraded now. In court, both men said the third suspect, who is still on the loose, was the one who pulled the trigger. And starting today, hundreds of new laws have gone into effect in the Lone Star State, covering everything from abortion to alcohol to police departments. Texas just became the first state to ban abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected. The controversial bill known as the Heartbeat Bill took effect just after midnight. It bans abortions as early as 6 weeks after a missed period. Opponents hope the Supreme Court would intervene. Another controversial bill also took effect today. The permitless carry or constitutional carry law allows anyone who legally owns a gun to carry it in public with no license or training required. But some universities across the state have not changed their concealed handgun policy. In an email sent out to students, Lamar University officials say their policies have not changed under the new Texas law. Anyone possessing a handgun on the premises must have a license to carry, and the firearm must be concealed at all times. In other Texas news, after weeks and weeks of back and forth, the Texas legislature has passed their controversial voting bill. Senate Bill 1 now goes to Governor Abbott's desk, where he is expected to sign it within the next few days. Among other things, the bill bans 24-hour voting, drive-through voting, and makes it a crime for election officials to send out mail-in ballot applications unless a voter requests it. This is the legislation that prompted House Democrats to travel to Washington, D.C., breaking quorum during the first and part of the second special sessions to try to kill the bill. Now to the fight against COVID, Jefferson County officials have announced the locations and times where you can get a free COVID test over the next week. Free testing this afternoon will begin at 1 p.m. in Bevel Oaks at 13550 River Oaks Boulevard. We have the full list on 12newsnow.com. And as of yesterday, 441 new cases were reported across the 8-county region. But there's some good news coming from the hospitals. We're seeing a slight drop in patients fighting the virus. We have a total of 269 in general beds in ICU in Jefferson County. That's down 15 patients from Sunday's all-time high. When you look at the regional picture, 35% of all hospitalizations are COVID patients. And right now, virtual learning isn't a viable option for most school districts, but we know the COVID risk is real for kids and teachers. One Lumberton mom decided to pull her child out of school completely. Charles Deere was a senior at Lumberton High School, but because he has hydrocephalus and cerebral palsy, his mother Linda Deere says his immune system isn't strong enough to fight COVID.
He's done his work, he's done his time, and for them to take that from him, it's heartbreaking to me.
Now, she says the school did offer homebound learning, but she was not willing to risk Charles being exposed to someone who came in contact with other exposed students.